And we're going to look at other battlefields than just the physical one. That's the digital one, fifth-generation warfare, changing hearts and minds to pressure politicians and leaders into adopting new positions. And TikTok has been one of those major battlefields, yeah, believe it or not. It's been flooded with anti-Israel propaganda and disinformation, something that's actually convincing young people. A Harvard-Harris poll showing 52% of young Americans have justified Hamas's crimes against humanity, which the International Criminal Court lawyers say could amount to a genocide. Why? Because of TikTok videos, many of which are based on, frankly, the dumbest possible premise. You're going to have to see this to believe it.
Media is extremely white supremacist, and that is how racism works. Israelis get to be white, Palestinians are non-white.
Israelis are white and the Palestinians are what? So I'm Israeli and my family is originally from Iraq. They had to flee from the country because the Iraqi government wouldn't let them walk, took their money, and threatened to execute them. Do you know how many Jews there were in Iraq in 1948? 135,000. But today, there are less than 10 Jews there. And the same thing happened to the Jewish communities in all Arab countries. So maybe before you say that Israel is doing
ethnic cleansing and genocide,
it is important to remember that in Israel in 1948, there were 700,000 Palestinians. And today, there are 4.5 million only in the land of Israel. So in fact, more than 50% of the Jewish residents of Israel are from Arab countries. Doesn't sound so white to me. So maybe it is not the media that is racist, or the Israelis. Maybe just you. A privileged white person who doesn't live in the Middle East, doesn't know the history of this place, and support their organization just because they're non-white.
Well, to understand more, we are joined in studio by activist and influencer Chaya Lev. Good to have you in here.
Oh, thank you for having me once again.
There's really no way for me to describe what I just saw. I think it actually caused me mental damage watching some of that.
All of us.
How do young people these days get opinions that are so counter to observable reality that they should theoretically be able to see with their own eyes, that they come to conclusions like, well, what we just saw?
Wow, this is such, first of all, I want to say we're talking about a demographic of human beings that eat Tide Pods, okay, that snort cinnamon powder for clout. Can we just keep it real? Like, are we literally allowing people who can't even spell genocide or point out where Israel is on the map determine what's really going on here? Part of it is that we play too much. The internet plays too much. We've given too much information to people that physically are not in a mental space to handle it. What happened to going, I'm a Barbie girl? There's no more of that. They're talking about major things. And for me, I just saw that video of that young lady talking about Israel being white. Okay, Sarah Jane, typing that and talking about that, Michelle Barbara from your local Starbucks. I think that's cute, Barbara. June, a Caucasian woman telling me, a black Israeli Jewish woman, about who is white. Sorry, Sarah, you're wrong, okay? Your followers are ignorant, because we have to talk about ignorance. When you get all of your information from 15-second TikToks, you're not going to even have context. We can't even begin to entertain these people. Me, for one, I am not going to entertain a bunch of 12-year-olds that are snorting Tide Pods for fun. I'm sorry. However, we have to understand this is a huge situation. Now, TikTok comes out of China, yes? The Chinese children are not watching TikTok, okay? Their TikTok has birds and bees and chirping. What we're seeing and what we're allowing our children to have access to, people with good sense are not doing that. So we need to wonder, where is this dumbing down of our children coming from? So I'm sorry, Tide Pod children, eating children, like, for real, like, seriously.
I think the problem is it's not just 12-year-olds eating Tide Pods. We're talking about the demographic of people that are voting. These are people that are going into the positions of power. They have a lot of influence, and they're being influenced by TikTok. You mentioned a moment ago, people on Chinese TikTok are not watching this nonsense. From what I understand, they're getting some very, very nationalist propaganda telling them to be strong and to fight, which means that the message that we're getting on TikTok in the West, very different story. Is TikTok ultimately, in a sense, a kind of weapon by China for policy change?
Of course, it's a weapon. And look, I try not to come on when you guys invite me, and I love to be here, is to talk numbers and to talk sense and to talk what makes sense, because we already know there's a lot of information out there, and for these situations, someone that's going to say something silly like Israel is white, you only to be Israel is white, that's somebody that just wants to hate a Jew. That's somebody that doesn't want to actually make sense. That's what we call propaganda. I'm not going to even, I can't, even if we are a white country, she's talking from a coffee shop on Berkeley from a white country. So even if we are, what does that have to do? What is that? Even if we were, which we aren't, we are a very multicultural country, and we're trying our best to do our best and to operate in love and to be with our neighbors. And it's really offensive to see a young lady like that speak on something that she doesn't know. You cannot talk about me from your Starbucks in Berkeley. I'm sorry, sweet girl. I'm sorry. And so I think it's a bit of hatred. We have facts. We had the situation where, okay, there was a hospital, there was a bomb, it came back, everybody, Israel, Israel, Israel. It came back, no, Hamas did it. Everybody on mute. Everybody did nothing to be said. So what is it really? What are we, what are we constantly talking about? Israel has the right. We know Israel has the right. Oh no, we have the moral army. All the time we're talking about who we are. Let's turn this mirror around and talk about who they are. Who are you? Who are you taking down babies, pictures of babies in your local city? What is that picture? What does that say about you? So you want to talk about me in my country that you don't even know how to get to, air, sea, or bike, and now you want to talk about who we are. They're wrong. And I think we just have to turn that around from the defensive to the offensive, and that's how I feel about it.
I want to get into the question here, because a lot of the
I'm going off
ideas
today. Sorry. I'm like, this is so silly to me.
It's a question that has a lot of meaning to all of us.
It's silly.
But these are ultimately emotional narratives, not factual ones. These are people making these comments, making these videos, making this content that have not been reasoned into their position. This is a question I had for another one. If they're not reasoned into a position, can you actually reason them out of it?
No, and that's what I'm saying. It's they want us to constantly talk about who we are, and that's what I'm saying. You can't have reason. You can't talk to someone who's insane about something that is sane. Me talking about this right now is actually me getting on their level. We know who we are and we know what it is. So as people will say, we have several wars that we're fighting. I don't know how we can do this. I think we need to, facts doesn't help these people. They don't want facts, so I don't know what else to do. I think comedy is the greatest part for me. I use comedy every time I see it. It's actually very funny. It's very sad, and it's like really big. We would say chutzpah here. Really big. I don't know the word for chutzpah, but it's like, wow, you have the shame and the nerve to talk to me about white supremacy as you're sitting at your local Starbucks. I think it's funny, and it shows that they are out of touch, in a bubble. They don't know what's going on. They're actually rooting for. When I think about white supremacy, I think of all the Arab countries around me. I think of Yemen. Why did Yemen enter the group chat? Yemen, what are you doing? Why did you enter the group chat? That is bullying. Everybody wants Israel to be the white supremacist. Everybody wants us to be. And we're the one bullying. We're going, you know what? You actually hurt some of our people. We're going to treat you in our hospital. You know what? The people that you actually murdered, they were dropping leaflets like, hi, we love you. That's bullying. We're not going to stand for it. And you know what? It's not up to me to make someone understand and know the facts. But we need to be very, very clear. Someone making a video like that, a sweet Barbara Ann from Starbucks in Berkeley, she's not about the facts. She is anti-Jew. She is anti-Jew or anti-Semitic, and that's on period. And then that we can say is a fact that we can talk about.
Here's my last question for you then, because we've seen the breakdowns, the hashtags, whatnot. Something like 15-1 anti-Israel versus pro-Israel on TikTok. Do we actually have a valid or effective way to combat that?
Oh, that's something different. You'd have to ask the social media specialists. However, I think that if Israelis keep showing who we are and doing what we do, operating in love. Look at the protests. Look at the pro-Palestinian protests. Look at the Israelis are like, kumbaya, na 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 na, and other people are like, just chaos, destruction. ask yourselves why. Where is that coming from? So I think we, as Israelis, Jewish people, people that are pro and our allies, we just need to continue operating in love and showing the world love, and it will work itself out.
I have had very little cause to laugh for the past month.
Sarah Jane from Starbucks in Berkeley.
I'm glad you could change that. Thank you for a breakdown.
Thank you for having me.